So back in 2018, Josh and I went to Chicago a handful of times training dogs, right? And we got linked up with this couple who had this soft-coated collie, right, that had horrendous anxiety issues, like ridiculous anxiety issues, right? Like anytime you take this dog outside, dog would just full on panic, couldn't focus, stressed out of its marbles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? They lived on the 43rd floor in a small, probably one-bedroom apartment, right? And they were in the heart of downtown Chicago, right? You step out of their apartment door, and you are in the midst of one of the busiest cities in America, right? You are right in it, right? And under most circumstances, when you're looking at like force-free approaches to working through things, you have like a management side of things and a solution side of things. The solution is counter-conditioning the dog's response to things, teaching differential behaviors, reinforcing the things that we want, so they're more reinforcing than doing the things that they don't want to do. Excuse me. Oof, man. Yeah. Oof. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the management side of things is basically avoid the situations that really trigger your dog until you're in a position to address them head on, right? And, work from a distance from those triggers until you're in a position to work on it. Literally impossible with this dog. Yeah. You can't do it. You can't do it. The dog's trigger is stepping out the front door. You step out the front door, the dog freaked the ever-living fuck out, couldn't focus, and was in such a state of trauma from everything going on around it, you couldn't do anything with it. You literally couldn't, right? So what did we do? We punished non-compliance of known behaviors. That's how we solved the issue, right? We went out there, right? We went for a walk, and we told the dog, you have to focus through this. It is not an option, right? It is dangerous for you to be acting this way out and about because there's fucking trains and cars and buses and everything that could kill you going on around you, where if you slip out of your collar or you pull too hard and accidentally drop your leash or whatever it may be, you're going to die, right? Yeah. And it's dangerous for me because your behavior is so erratic that in the winter, I might fall due to your behavior, right? I might trip over something. You might pull me into a crowd. You might pull me into the street. Like, it's just such a bad situation, right? So what did we do? We shaped a really basic understanding of the heel position, right? And we went right into correcting for the unwanted behaviors, right? If this dog tried to drag us into the street, it got firmly corrected for something, right? If this dog wasn't paying attention to us because it was too distracted by whatever the fuck was going on over there, it got firmly corrected for it, right? And guess what happened? We corrected and set the boundaries of the things we didn't want the dog to do, and we got the dog to walk calmly next to us. Yep. I mean, was the problem fixed? No. The dog was still fucking scared, right? But guess what happened? The dog was able to start overcoming some of these hurdles and not rehearse the frantic state of mind that it usually would in those types of things of taking off and bolting and pulling and stuff like that. And it started realizing over time, this isn't that scary. Yeah. And guess what? Let's say hypothetically the dog never grew to love going outside, but it could keep it under control enough where it didn't freak out and get into this level gazillion intense state of mind of being scared. That's a win. Yeah. Because guess what it does? It creates infinitely less frustration and stress for the owner. It creates slightly less fear and anxiety for the dog, which is marginally better than where it was at before, right? So I always strive for, we look at sometimes we need to get from terrible to perfect, right? For a lot of these dogs, that's unrealistic, right? If we could get from terrible to significantly better, but not perfect, that's going to make everybody's life way better, which is a win. Yeah. We don't need perfection. I don't have perfection with my dogs. Vinny doesn't love being in his crate, right? But guess what? He tolerates it enough where it's not a problem. There's not all this stress and frustration on both ends, and we could live through it, and it's literally just fine. It's fine. Yeah. Right? Yep. So yeah, that's another case in point situation of like, is it possible to counter condition away that behavior and make that dog like being in those environments without the use of any sort of punishment? Yes, but at what cost? Literally. The cost is owner has to uproot their life, move somewhere else where it's going to be easier, or we need to, I mean, there's ridiculous shit out there like they sell like blinders for dogs, right? And goggles you could put over the dog where they can't see, and earmuffs where it deadens the noise of what they're listening to. Like we could come up with so option one is the dog move somewhere else where we could slowly go into more busy environments to work on this, right? Option number two is we could medicate the ever-living fuck out of the dog to a point where it's so subdued and deadened that when you take it into those environments, it's more manageable to work through the problem, which that one is questionable on if it's going to work. And I have very, very serious questionable thoughts as far as the efficacy of needing to medicate a dog and subdue them that much to get them to a place where you could start working on this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. You're talking biologically impacting the entire dog, right?
Oh, yeah.
Option number three is we buy every fucking contraption in the state of the world that reduces what the dog can see and reduces what the dog can hear so that they don't realize that they're in the middle of all of this crazy stressful stuff going on. Yeah. But then you run the risk of that potentially also freaking the dog out even more, right? Which we see sometimes with people that use like the blinders and the earmuffs and stuff like that. Or option number four is we just tell the dog, you've got to do it. Mm-hmm. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that one.